AZoIntel is the ultimate analytics platform for the scientific marketer. With pro packages starting at just $199 per month, AZoIntel allows you to turn insight into action, make better marketing decisions, and quickly prove content marketing ROI. In this demo, you'll learn how to amplify your marketing messages, understand your customer journeys more deeply, and get actionable insights that will ultimately lead to more leads, sales, and revenue. Can AZoIntel deliver the results that help you and your marketing teams deliver success? Let's take a look and get started.
Joining me today to go through things is Dave Cockett. Dave has 23 years experience in digital marketing and has worked on client AZoNetwork campaigns, the production and optimization of client sites, coupled with Google AdWords optimization and much more. Today, we're going to be having a bit of a Q&A so we can demonstrate some of the main features of the Lite, Pro and Premium versions of AZoIntel, and showcasing some of the many ways that you can use the platform to highlight the performance of your content marketing efforts. We are going to be using a live client account so that all the results you see are real, but we've developed a demo version so that no personal identifiable data is shared and that we remain GDPR compliant throughout. Before we get started, just a quick note to say that this is a pre-recorded session, so if at any time you have any questions, you can click on the pop-up that is appearing on the top right corner of your screen now. That will come straight through to one of the team. Failing that, you can close the window and click on the contact tab on the website, and one of the team will be in touch with you very shortly. Dave, perhaps the best place for us to start is if we just do a quick introduction to explain how AZoNetwork helps clients get more leads and a bit more about what it is that we do.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Danny. The network itself consists of 10 industry-specific sites. These range from materials engineering, optics, sensors, nanotechnology, medical, life sciences, and more. A typical supplier profile looks like this, and the general concept is content marketing. So we take our clients' content that could range from videos and equipment, news and PR, and articles. We can literally share any forms of content, including webinars and podcasts. And the reason our clients share their content on our network is primarily for lead generation. So we optimize every single piece of content as well, again, whether that be an article or a piece of equipment. So if we do a quick incognito search here for high yield steel, we'll see that there's a couple of ads at the top, and then we have Masteel themselves, but then that particular article of Masteel's on AZon ranking third as well. So nice to see they've got the top 3 positions there. The leads themselves, we do try to pre-qualify before we send through to our clients. So, excuse me, on every single piece of content, the client can or has to answer this question: what best describes your current situation? And if the client chooses that they're expanding their knowledge or investigating technologies, that is typically processed as a marketing qualified lead. And if they choose looking to buy within 1 year or actively in the buying process, that is a sales qualified lead. There is a slight exception that if they choose one of the marketing qualified answers, but in the area of interest, they ask for a price or a quote, we do recognize that there is more intent there from a sales perspective, and there's a little bit more urgency. So we will re-qualify that as a sales qualified lead. So that kind of is more around the inbound kind of concept, optimizing your content for people to find when they're searching and browsing our site as well as search engines. We also have a popular outbound solution, which is based around email marketing. We have over 800,000 unique email subscribers, and 2 ways you could take advantage of those. We have around 100 subject or industry specific newsletters that you can sponsor or feature in. And we also have a customized email solution whereby you can give us the exact demographic and geographical locations of your exact audience, and we can then send them an email all about your solutions and news and products, and share that with a more unique and refined audience. The network itself, in the last 12 months, has had over 126 million unique users, which generated our clients 394,000 sales leads. And you can have a deeper look at the breakdown of that audience via our audience packs. Within these, you can understand the content visits, the number of active subscribers, the geographical locations. You've also got some good data around the newsletters themselves, around the unique subscribers and how often they're sent out.
That sounds good to me. Dave, if we use Masteel as the example you were talking about earlier, how do they use Intel then to measure the ROI? How do they know that the content on the AZoNetwork is useful for them?
Okay, so this is the main dashboard to AZoIntel, and This particular dashboard is all about their activity across our network. So primarily the content that they've shared and the newsletters that they're sponsored or featured in. So from a top line number, we can see that in the last 12 months, their content has had 304,000 unique users viewing it. That's looked a total of 324,000 times, and some great interaction levels on there as well. And from a lead perspective, they've had 1,250 sales leads, which is a pretty good breakdown of 339 sales qualified and 913 of those marketing qualified. And we can see that from the newsletters that they've featured in, they've had 242 clicks or leads from those as well. This software also has a reverse Rp Lookup. So when somebody is looking at a piece of content, we send a ping back through their IP address to try and determine who they are. Of course, a lot of that is anonymous. People on a 3G or 4G network, people on a shared internet connection, we don't know who they are. But when there is an IP address there, we can give you those company details. So in this section here, you can see the top sectors and some of the organizations within those sectors, and you can also open that up and expand it to see the full details. Here is the lead section. As Danny mentioned briefly, these have been reworded, and these are fake company names and individual names, but the leads themselves are real. So you can see here all the different types of leads, from MQL and PDF downloads to sales qualified leads from RFQs. We can look at the top content types from a kind of visitor perspective, and also see which are the most visited countries. And then in this section here, we can see the content activity from a percentage of traffic perspective. And we can also see how many of those articles have generated what leads. From a data insights perspective, there's much more data in this particular section here. So in here, you can go into more detail around what is the best performing content and where am I getting the best ROI from. So you can see, just from a visit number, but also from an engaging time perspective, what type of content is generating which types of leads, and where are my SQLs coming from, for example. And we can actually see which piece of content is generating the most leads, and we can also filter that via RFQs, PDFs, or comments. And you don't get a huge amount of data in this section, but you can see the most engaged individuals. So again, this is a real person. We just changed the name, and we can see this person from Paraguay has visited Mass Deals content 85 times. And you can start to build up a real good picture about what these people like. So we can go right back to the very first time they visited the Mass Deals content, which was in March 2021. And we can get a real feel for the types of content that they like and what is the most engaging. And you can make decisions based on what your prospects are interacting with the most, and which types of content are generating you the best leads.
Yeah. So Dave, all these dashboards are really great for marketers, because they can see everything pretty straightforward way. What about when marketers want to report to senior management or other people in the company who perhaps don't understand everything that's going on here? Are there any reporting features that make it easier to showcase the results?
Yeah, of course. So again, at the top level, a lot of our clients just ask to see the leads themselves. So again, you can click through to see all the lead data, and you can pretty much download any report you see, any page you're on, you can download via an Excel. But what we can also do is, if you wanted to be more kind of precise or specific, if you have a question, for example, if Mass Deal asked me, well, how many leads have we had from the UK and Germany, for example, I can then go into these particular filters. I can choose it via country or continent, and then I can save that. And again, I can enter or mess around with the date range here. And if I just wanted to look at sales qualified leads or marketing qualified leads instead of all leads, I could filter those as well. So in this instance, I'm filtering off leads from Germany, from Germany and the UK. There's been 76 of those. So again, I can download via an Excel. And interestingly as well, what you can look at within the content portfolio section is basically all the content and all the kind of campaigns that have ever been done. You can see in this section here, and you can filter these and then download these via these certain product area lines. So if we look at the content, you can look at these via most views, or via the latest to go live, or via the most leads generated. And again, you can look at that from any perspective. So if we look at the newsletters, that's most leads, but let's look at what we've done most recently. We can see which newsletters have generated these interactions, and then we can click on these and it will open up the actual newsletter itself. So that is the real newsletter that went out with Mass Deal featured in it.
Awesome. So it's very quick. If say we've sponsored the newsletter, we can very quickly see what the results from that one were. So if we've got any sort of surplus budget at the end of a quarter or the end of a financial year, we can work out quickly what's worked best and what would be worth investing more in.
Exactly. Yeah, and again, you can download them via the specific newsletter itself, so you can separate which leads came from which newsletter, so you can measure the quality of that lead as well, or you can just do a big data dump and download every single newsletter interaction that's been. And they do look great, and they are easy to understand, and you can see again in here the difference, or the different newsletters and how they've performed. So yeah, really easy to understand dashboards, but also really easily accessible reports where you can see all the visitor data and then ultimately the lead data. So again, you can see the newsletter here, the date that it was interacted with, and then who that person in interaction is with their profession, and as much data as we got with them. And of course, this has been anonymized for GDPR, but you can see their personal email address as well in a real campaign.
Yeah, I guess another feature I don't think we've spoken about before when we've been going through this was if you were entering a new geographical market, you can see how your content's performing in that market prior to sort of laying any groundwork there. So like you said before, that with that inquiry from Paraguay, if South America was a target market for you that you're looking to enter, you can see how your content's performed over time and make decisions based on that.
Yeah, exactly. So again, if we just wanted to choose, let's look at Brazil as an example, and we're not looking at leads or newsletters, we just want to look at visitors as a whole. So again, we're looking at the last 12 months. We can go back even further. We could do 2 years, and we're just now basically seeing how many visits have I had from Brazil in those 2 years. And once this is loaded up, we'll be able to see which content has been interacted with. And in this instance, there's 5,314 visits from Brazil. We've been able to track or name 1,157 of those through the reverse Rp Lookup. So yeah, you can do a huge amount with these filters. And again, you can even look at content titles. If, for example, you said, I wonder if this particular business has ever interacted with my content, we could search their company name. And if we've been able to track them reading your content, we'd be able to give you all that data as well. Yeah. So yeah, lots of different filters, lots of different ways you can present this data. And then again, on every filter, you've got the opportunity to download it as an Excel.
Yeah, so that organization name data as well is going to give you great insight if you're thinking about ABM campaigns and things like that. You can see what companies you're targeting are already interacting with and develop your content strategy around that. What about integration with CRM? So this is all awesome, but if I wanted to integrate this with Salesforce or HubSpot or another CRM, how can we go about that?
Yeah, so we do currently integrate the leads data into quite a number of CRM systems at the minute, including Salesforce, HubSpot, Microsoft Dynamics, and we can integrate it into a lot of the smaller CRM systems by using a third-party integrator API. So we can integrate it with most CRM systems just from the lead data perspective. So the leads can go directly into CRM, and we can give them different rules. So again, if you wanted the marketing qualified ones to go to the marketing team and the sales to sales, we can do that. And we can also do it via geographical location. So again, if you've got distributors across the world, we can make sure that the leads from certain countries are going to that particular distributor through the CRM system.
Awesome. What about the keyword analysis? If we go on to the next one of the sort of add-on features, how do you find the right keywords to get started with this?
Okay, so first of all, this came off the back of us managing quite a lot of our clients' websites from an SEO perspective, trying to better their visibility and performance within search. And what we were doing is every month spending quite a few hours on each client to show them where they were ranking and how that compared to previous months, and then how were they performing from an analytics perspective, and how did that traffic compare to the same time last year or the previous month, and how many leads were being generated from which traffic sources. So we've now integrated all that manual reporting element into AZoIntel so that the clients have a live performance feed basically, and rather than having to invest in a third-party SEO tool or spend hours actually trolling through the rankings, we've developed this dashboard so that they can see the performance as a whole. To answer your question from a keyword perspective, we have obviously interactions with the client. We ask them questions around what they feel their prospects are searching for, what do they want to be page one for, but ultimately we run a keyword research program utilizing the Google Keyword Planner, but also AZoIntel as well, where we have hundreds of millions of pieces of data to analyze, and the keywords themselves. That's what form the basis of this particular report here.
How often, Dave, is it that the client will say, we think these are our keywords, but actually you'll run the analysis and they'll be completely different, or there won't be high search volumes for those?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty common. Again, I think a lot of the times people within their own businesses are experts in what they do, but they're not trying to sell to themselves. And, different people from different countries, continents, all search differently, but there are also hundreds of different ways people search for one particular term. So it's very common.
So you've done the analysis with the clients for the keywords. And you start the campaigns. How do you then know if the campaigns are working or not?
Okay, so this dashboard here gives you some really nice data in regards to visibility, estimated traffic, and average position. So these formulas are based on the keyword search volume, where you're ranking for that particular search term, and then what is the average click-through rate for that particular ranking position. So in this instance, this is looking at the last 90 days. So they've had some nice increases across the board. And in this particular section here, we can see how many of those preset keywords have improved versus declined. And we can see those metrics in a graphical format as well. So we can see how they've performed over a certain period of time. And then in this section here, we can actually see the rankings and the ranking distribution of those particular keywords. So we can see the date that we set at the top. In July, they had 50 keywords ranking between positions 1 and 3, and they now have 55. And we can basically filter that for how many are between 4 and 10. So we can see how many page one positions they have in total and how that's improved over a certain time period. And ultimately, where are the other keywords ranking, and where can we improve these rankings perspectives. On this level here, we see it on a more keyword basis. So when we start a campaign and when we launch an Intel account for an SEO keyword analysis, we run a benchmark report. So when we have the set keywords agreed off the client, we'll show the client exactly where they're ranking for those keywords the day they do it. So this particular one was done in July 2019. So we can see in some instances they were already number one. They've maintained being number one throughout that time period. And we can see there are some that have improved. So they started at 3rd in July, they were 4th, and now they're number 1. And the customer can basically look through, in this instance, 299 keywords. They can see which pages are ranking for which keyword, and they can see which have moved up and which have moved down. And you can also see the search volumes for each of those as well. So again, looking at a negative one, this went from position 1 to position 2. So it's not too bad. You'll generally find that the ones that have dropped have only been by a position or 2. They've not disappeared off the face of the earth generally. And lastly, on this particular page, you can see the keyword position history. So if it's green, it means it stayed the same or got better. So you can look at it on a graphical format as well, how it's basically moved up and down within that particular date range. But you want to see a kind of big wave of green across the board. But it's also good to kind of recognize where you're not performing. So 3 or 4 stainless steel, for whatever reason, has never appeared in the top 100, basically. And to this day, it's still not ranking anywhere. So, by way of quick snapshot, you can look at, okay, well, what's doing well, what's not doing well, and what the areas I need to improve.
Yeah, but a good reminder that it's a sort of a long-term process rather than a quick solution.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get some short-term wins, but in general, SEO is a long-term project, and it's got to remember it's very competitive. You're not the only person that wants to be page 1.
Yeah, and that example you showed us earlier in Incognito, so that was 2 of Masteel's articles ranking the AZO and yourself had taken care of. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, so we manage their website from an SEO perspective. We create all the content, the blog and article content on their website. But again, they also share their content on AZon as well in this instance, and that also ranks very well. So we're just trying to give Masteel as many opportunities as possible to get that prospect click.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. If we move on to Google Analytics, should we start with how can a marketer effectively analyze the data on Google Analytics?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, this is live data. This is an API directly from Masteel's Google Analytics. Again, we've got the date range at the top, and it works just like analytics. So we can change the date range, we can do comparisons, and then see if the traffic has increased or decreased, etc. So exactly the same as analytics there. But what we've tried to do from a dashboard perspective is, from over the years of reporting to our SEO clients, we were always learning what customers wanted to see and how easily can we demonstrate that data, and from an easy to read and easy to understand perspective, but from a time perspective as well. And kind of this is where we ended up. So this is the overall website's traffic, so the overall statistics for the website. And in this section here, this is just organic, so the SEO related traffic and interaction time. So we're separating out the organic from the overall performance. In this section here, we're looking at where has all that traffic come from. So in this instance, Google Organic is the biggest by far, but it's nice to see Bing, Badu, Yahoo, and DuckDuckGo in there. Obviously, great to see AZon as well. So we have sent quite a lot of visitors to their site in the last month as well. And in this section here, we can look at, just like you can in analytics, what are the top visited pages. But it's great that we can filter this as well. So again, from a content marketing ROI perspective, we can look at which pages are generating the best interactions, whether that's from an entrance perspective or whether that's from a time on page. If we do it via news, for example, we can see which of Mass Deals news in the last 30 days has been read the most. And in this instance, it's a comparison between quote and steel alternatives. So again, it's really good to be able to filter that type of data really easily and quickly. And again, from a reporting perspective, you can actually download the whole of this as well, and it presents it into a really nice PDF. So again, everything that you're seeing and filtering on here can be downloaded and shared internally. And then lastly, this is kind of the goal completion. So again, with a customer at the start, if they haven't got these set up already, we'll talk to them about what are the significant actions that you want to track. And again, for the purpose of this demonstration, we've put a goal value on it because you can actually track the value. So in this instance, we, with the client, recognize that if somebody's clicking on the email link or on the telephone link, then that's a goal. And then obviously if somebody's submitting a contact form inquiry, that's a goal as well. So we can see that the overall website conversion rate is 0.62, and they've had 78 completions in total. And then we can see where those goal completions have come from. So again, being able to measure what is generating the most inquiries via your website. And again, in this instance, it's Google Organic and Bing Organic. Nice to see a newsletter lead that's received one of our newsletters, visited a piece of Mass Deals content within our site, but then clicked through to Mass Deal and submitted an inquiry directly to them. And then lastly, this is a really interesting report and not something that is easily filtered out of a live analytics account. So assisted goal conversions are where a particular user has found it via a particular source. We'll use organic in this example. So maybe they find it organically today. They like what they see. They save it to the favorites. They share it with their colleagues. And then 2 weeks down the line, they get the go-ahead to make an inquiry. So they go to the favorites and then they go directly to the website and submit an inquiry. That is classed as a direct inquiry because that's the last entry point before they submitted that request. But what this shows you here was the original. So it actually shows you that Google Organic assisted this goal conversion previously because that was the first entry point of that particular visitor. So there's an additional 6 inquiries from Google and 2 from Bing that were assisted by those that came maybe direct to submit the final inquiry.
Yes. So everything on this dashboard comes from about 1 million different areas of Google Analytics, right? Yeah.
I mean, you have to be pretty well seasoned or very patient and have a lot of time on your hands to kind of extract all of this data and put this into an easy to understand dashboard. And again, having the ability to export it and report to your colleagues and seniors, you can do that within a minute or two rather than potentially an hour, if not longer, within analytics.
Yeah. No downloading all the analytics Excels and then manipulating them to tell a story or prove a point or anything like that. Shall we move on to Google Ads? Now, we don't run Mass Deals Google Ads, do we? So we're going to use AZoIntel. We're going to use AZoNetworks as an example.
Mass Deals actually, sorry, they don't use it at all. They don't spend any money at all on ads.
I think the campaign we're going to use an example is actually one I run, so I can listen and be schooled in everything I did wrong.
Well,
I'll sit here nervously and listen.
It's not really for the purpose of trying to prove what's working or what not working. I guess it is to some extent, but it's not primarily from our perspective used for that. What we've tried to do is talking to a lot of clients and managing a lot of our clients' AdWords accounts, the difficulties that they experience trying to do it themselves, is we tried to pull all the data that they wanted to see that took them either a long time to find and like you say, to manipulate it into a particular report. we've tried to just pull it all onto one dashboard again. So again, going from the top, we've got the top level performance. Again, this was for a particular date range that you utilized AdWords for. So again, very top level pieces of data. And as we go down, we've got the campaigns, the keywords, and the ads. And again, very top level here, and we can go further down and we'll be able to look deeper into each campaign. So again, we can filter it via campaigns if you've got a lot of campaigns running, and we can look at the ad groups within those campaigns and how they're performed. Exactly the same here. We can look at the different accounts that we've got running, and that data will change based on the account that you choose. We've got a section on budget versus spend. So what was the budget and how much were we spending? It looks like it was pretty seamless. You were utilizing most of the budget that you had, Danny, so that's good. And then this is probably my favorite part. This is not something that you see within your Google Ads account. So this is the click-through rate heat map. So what we can see is what were the best days and times of day where we were getting the best click-through rate. So as an example, on Tuesdays, between 1 and 2, maybe 1 and 3, we were getting over a 6% click-through rate, as opposed to the same times on a Monday, we're getting a third and a fifth less. So you can then filter the times and days of your adverts to appear, so that you're only appearing on the days and times where you get the best interactions. And I think this is probably the most time-saving part. So the keyword quality scores and the ad relevances and click-through rates and landing page experiences, you have to go into each campaign, into each keyword and advert to extract this data. And what we've done, we've pulled it all out from all campaigns so that you can see in one place the overall performance. So again, rather than have to go into each individual area, we can see that it's here. So in this instance, we've got quite a lot that are above average from a keyword ad relevance and some that are average, but our keyword expected click-through rates, for whatever reason, are below average, Danny. So something that we'll have to work on with you. But again,
so a good start, but then fell away halfway through.
Yeah, but again, AdWords itself is a difficult tool to manage if you've not got that experience, if it's not something that you've done before. It is an area where you can spend a lot of money very quickly with very little return. So again, this will help people like yourself that doesn't have a huge amount of experience, but you could very quickly see, well, actually something I'm doing is not great. It's below average. So let's just pause for a moment. Let's try and understand why that is working or not working in this case, and go back to the drawing board. But you pause the campaign because something's not working. You switch it on when you're happy that you've addressed the issue.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest pain point if you were when you're running Google Ads, isn't it? Is that you can very quickly shoot through your budget and realize you haven't got many results. So having these to look at, and then you can quickly assess what's working, what's not. Start again, and take it from there, rather than, I had $10,000 to spend and it's all gone and I haven't got much for it. Because that can happen really easily, can't it? You can literally fly through it. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And again, if we look at this from an ads perspective, so being able to look at it from an ads perspective and then looking at the performance, and again, this is a good example in the sense that the click-through rate for the free digital marketing guide was good. 2% is great. And again, it's sometimes maybe unfairly to compare these two types of campaigns, because in this instance, you're giving something away for free. So you kind of would expect a better conversion rate, but you've got a conversion rate of 7.52, which is excellent. That's cost $1,000 at that time, as opposed to listening to a podcast advert. You got an excellent click-through rate, huge click-through rate in comparison to something that you were giving away for free, but you got 0 conversions. It costs you less on a cost per click basis, but ultimately, you'd be able to see. And again, depending on what your marketing goals are, you might say, well, actually, people that listen to our podcast, I don't expect to get an inquiry from them. And then you wouldn't necessarily measure it on conversion rate. You'd measure it on click-through rate and then interaction levels within Google Analytics. But again, a lot of our clients, they have, hundreds of ads and, maybe 10, 20, 30 different campaigns running. So, you've got hundreds of ads, potentially tens of campaigns, hundreds, if not thousands of keywords. So to be able to put them all in one area of one dashboard and to be able to see these interactive statistics, and you can make real quick judgment calls and decisions based on that data there. And again, to go into ads and extract each bit of campaign data and keyword data will take you a lot longer than what it would on here. So again, this is just the keyword section and the search term section. And again, you've got all the different interaction levels, and it's just pulling different bits of data out. in different areas of that particular dashboard. And again, you've got the search functionality as well, and the breakdown of how it's performing from a conversion and a cost per click basis. So yeah, again, everything you need to see on one dashboard, and going to save marketers like yourself a huge amount of time in gathering that data and reporting it around the business. And that's exactly the same with the SEO keyword analysis and Google Analytics modules as well. So you've literally got one dashboard for, in this instance, 4 different forms of marketing.
Awesome. And just to clarify, if clients do take the Google Ads Management as a solution, it won't be run by me. It'll be run by Dave and one of his specialist team. This was just my experiments and trying to work a few things out. That's great, Dave. I think that's pretty much everything. Is there anything else to run through at this point?
No, I don't think so. Thank you very much for your time.
If I just quickly finish by asking, if someone was to ask what the 3 main advantages of using AZoIntel are, what would you say there?
Well, it's the ease of use. First of all, the ease of the data and how you can interpret that. Then obviously the timing element is huge. Again, if you wanted to create 3 reports from those 3 different modules, it would take you hours and hours to do that. And thirdly, I guess it's the money, the cash, because from an SEO keyword analysis perspective, if you wanted to invest in an SEO tool, that can cost you, in excess of $10,000 a year, more in some instances, and you're not having to spend that because you've got the exact same data within Intel.
Yeah, I think you were telling me earlier that the best success stories that we've had is when we've had a sort of fully engaged relationship with the client. So if someone's listening and wants to get started or find out more information, how do they go about the onboarding process?
Yeah, well, I mean, we offer free health checks. So if you're intrigued, or if you want to learn more about how you're currently performing from an SEO perspective, we can run a completely free health check. And then similar from a Google Ads perspective, we can run free health checks where we'll give you a really clear and honest insight in regards to how it's performing. And if we feel we can help, we'll explain why we feel we can help. That is slightly more complicated in the sense that you would actually need to grant one of our staff members access to the Google Ads and Analytics account for them to be able to do that. Whereas with the SEO one, we can just do that without any access at all. And yeah, if the health check shows that we can help, then we can set up an online meeting and talk through the findings and the processes that we run through.
Awesome. Sounds good, Dave. Thank you. That was a really useful session, not just for me, hopefully for everyone listening as well. Like Dave said, if you want to do an SEO health check or have any questions, then there's a pop-up on the screen now. Just click that and it will take you through to a form to complete, and we can take it from there. If you want to start taking advantage of AZoIntel, then you can start for free on the light package, or all you need to do is close this window, click on request information, and one of the team will be in touch and we'll get you all set up and started from there. Thanks for watching today. All the best with your marketing efforts, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers, Dave.
Thank you.